12 soldiers stand behind me, human.
Tell me why I shouldn't take everyone on that list.
The Keth'ari didn't conquer worlds with fire. They conquered them with patience. For 11 years, they had orbited Earth in silence, studying, cataloging, waiting. They watched humanity build and burn and rebuild again. They watched us war against each other, poison our own oceans, and still somehow drag ourselves forward. They concluded we were magnificent in our self-destruction. Impressive, even, but not dangerous. That was their first mistake. Sergeant Marcus Vael had been stationed at Outpost Drava for 8 months when the Keth'ari made first contact. Not with governments, not with generals, with a single wounded scout ship that came down hard in the Carpathian Mountains, leaving a scar of burning pine trees 3 kilometers long. Marcus was the first human to reach the crash site. He wasn't supposed to be a hero that night. He was supposed to file a perimeter report and wait for the extraction team. But the ship was on fire, and through the cracked hull, he could hear something screaming. He went in anyway. That was just Marcus. He didn't calculate odds. He didn't weigh consequences. He heard something alive and suffering, and his legs moved before his brain could object. He pulled her out of the wreckage with his bare hands. A Keth'ari female, silver-skinned, four-armed, and breathing in short, terrible bursts. He gave her oxygen from his own emergency kit. He stayed with her through the night, cold mountain wind tearing at both of them, until his extraction team finally arrived. Her name, he would learn later, was HFY. She was a commander's daughter, and she had memorized his face before she lost consciousness. The Keth'ari watched all of it on their satellites above. They filed it as an anomaly. 3 years passed. The Keth'ari moved from orbit to occupation. Quietly at first, advisory stations, resource surveys, diplomatic embassies that were, in truth, command posts. Earth's governments signed treaties they didn't fully understand, written in legal language that translated generously and bound cruelly. By year 3, the Keth'ari High Command had decided humanity's window was closing. Marcus was now a civilian consultant, brought into Drava Station's new Joint Species Liaison Office, a polished word for a surveillance hub. He sat across the table from Keth'ari officers daily. He served tea. He answered questions. He smiled. He also noticed everything. The day the situation broke open, it happened fast. A Keth'ari enforcer unit arrived at Drava Station without notice. 12 soldiers in full battle lattice armor, weapons that bent light around their barrels. Their commander was tall, silver-eyed, and moved like someone who had never once considered that a room might not yield to him. His name was Veltar. He dropped a tablet on Marcus's desk. "These are the 17 humans we require for questioning," Veltar said. His translator chip gave his voice a flat, mechanical calm. "Collaboration suspects. You will hand them over before this station cycle ends." 17 names. Marcus recognized all of them. Teachers, a field medic, a 15-year-old boy who had organized food drops in the eastern sectors. Marcus looked at the list for a long moment. Then he looked up. "No," he said. The room went very still. Veltar tilted his head with something that wasn't quite amusement and wasn't quite contempt. It was the expression of a predator watching prey attempt to roar. "You understand," Veltar said slowly, "that your species exists here at our discretion. That this station, this mountain, this planet, breathes because we allow it." His soldiers fanned out behind him. 12 weapons came off shoulders. The air in the room felt suddenly thinner, the walls closer. Marcus didn't move. He just said, "I understand you think that." The door at the far end of the corridor opened without a sound. HFY walked in. She was not in diplomatic whites. She wore the deep crimson of a Keth'ari war arbiter, a rank above Enforcer Commander, a rank that Veltar himself had never achieved. Her 4 arms were relaxed at her sides. Her silver eyes found Marcus first, held them for exactly 1 second, then moved to Veltar with the unhurried weight of someone who has nothing left to prove. Veltar's composure cracked, just slightly, but Marcus saw it. "War Arbiter," Veltar said carefully. "This is a routine enforcement." "Is it?" HFY said. It was not a question. She crossed the room and stood beside Marcus. Not behind him, not in front of him. Beside him. Equal. Deliberate. I want you to look at this man, she said. Her voice carried without effort, filling every corner. 3 years ago, his planet was on fire, and he walked into a burning ship for a creature he had never seen before. He gave her air from his own lungs. He stayed with her in the cold until dawn, when he did not know if her species would thank him or kill him. Veltar said nothing. That creature, HFY continued, was me. The 12 soldiers were motionless now. Whatever confidence had walked through that door with Veltar was evaporating molecule by molecule. I reported this incident to my father, HFY said. High Commander Dalevor has reviewed it. He has reviewed it many times, and he reached a conclusion that I suspect your tactical briefings did not include. She reached into her coat and placed a single silver document on the desk beside Marcus's hand. This is a high command covenant of protection, she said. It covers this station, these 17 individuals, and every human being within a 40-kilometer radius. It is signed by my father. It is signed by me. She paused, and 3 weeks ago, it was also signed by my husband. The soldiers looked at each other. Veltar looked at Marcus. Marcus looked entirely calm. You married, Veltar began. A human who walked into fire, HFY said. Yes. The silence that followed was total. Veltar's soldiers were professionals. But professionals recognize a battlefield that has already been lost. Weapons went back to shoulders one by one, with soft mechanical clicks that sounded less like power and more like retreat. Veltar picked up his tablet from the desk. He did not pick up the 17 names. They left without a word. Marcus stood at the window and watched the Enforcer transport lift out of the valley, its engines cutting blue lines through the gray mountain sky, growing smaller until it was nothing. HFY stood beside him. You knew they were coming, he said. For 6 days, she confirmed. You let me say no first. You would have been upset if I hadn't. He smiled at that. The kind of smile that only comes after the adrenaline fades and you realize the ground is still under your feet. Outside, the 17 names on that list were going home to their families. A field medic would finish her shift. A boy would eat dinner with his mother. The mountain would be cold and quiet and safe, the way mountains are supposed to be. Marcus turned from the window. What happens now, he asked. HFY looked at him with those silver eyes that had memorized his face in the dark of a burning ship. Now, she said quietly. Now they go back and tell their commanders what they found here. A species that walks into fire for strangers. A species that says no to 12 armed soldiers and means it. She paused. A species worth being afraid of. Marcus nodded once. Outside, the sky was clear. They came to Earth expecting ruins. They found us instead, and nothing in the universe has terrified them more.